Hi everyone, welcome back to our class, and today the topic that I have taken is crystal field theory, CFT. So in crystal field theory, actually what happens, what it explains, what are the features that it gives is, in crystal field theory, it gives the information about the splitting energies in octahedral and tetrahedral. Actually in many geometries it gives the splitting energies, but here especially in exams we get the questions from octahedral and tetrahedral geometries. In octahedral geometry, how we are going to get the splitting energies? Actually in this, the splitting happens in d orbitals. As you know that, how many d orbitals we have? 5 d orbitals we have. So in that 5 d orbitals, right? d xy, d yz, d xz, d x square y square, then d z square. So these 5 d orbitals we have. In this, these 3 orbitals are different and these 2 orbitals are different. Why is it different? So dxy, dyz, dxz, these 3 orbitals, they lie between the axis. They lie between the axis. We have a 3 axis, right? X, Y, Z, right? In these 3 axes, so as you know that, like that, this axis are there, right? You can take this X, Y, Z, something like this, okay? So what happens is, these 3 orbitals, they lie between the axis like this, okay? Between the axis. See, between the axis means this is xy, yz, this is xz, like this. So dxy, dyz, dxz, they lie between the axis, and this dx square, y square, dz square, they lie along the axis. Or on the axis. That means, see here, x, y, z. So these orbitals will be along the axis. Okay. If it is on axis x and y, so then we'll have d x square, y square. If it is along this axis, then we are going to have d z square. You just remember that, okay? It's a basic concept. So these 3 are lie between the axis, and dx square by dz square, they lie along the axis or on the axis. So according to this only, the splittings happens here. So in octahedral geometry, what happens here? You just see, in octahedral geometry, okay, octahedral geometry. As you know that octahedral geometry is there, right? In octahedral geometry, what happens is, as you know that, first you will see that metal ion will be there, and then ligands. So as you know that, ligands will have electrons around it, right? So electrons will be there around it, and metal will have empty orbitals for receiving an electron from ligand. Okay, metal will have empty orbitals to receive electrons from the ligands. So actually the force of attraction will be there between the metal and ligand. Metal and ligand, they will be having an attraction between them. So this will have attraction, and then these orbitals, they will have empty orbitals, and they have some electrons also in that. Then what happens is, these ligand and orbitals, they will have a repulsion between them. Repulsions. So according to this only, we are going to get the splittings in octahedral and tetrahedral. So in octahedral geometries, how the splitting happens, you just see here. As you know that, in octahedral geometry, these ligands, whatever the ligands we have, ML6, suppose like this, okay. Whatever the ligands we have in this complex, they will be lying along the axis. So just now I have shown, no? So like this, X, Y, Z. So whatever the ligands we have in octahedral geometry, that ligands will be lying along the axis or on the axis, on this. Okay, ligands will be lying on this axis in octahedral geometries. So you just refer some structures, okay, structure of octahedral, then you will come to know that how I am explaining you this. So these ligands will be along the axis. Then what happens is, when the ligands are lying along the axis, then the repulsion between the ligands and metal orbitals, whatever the orbitals we have in metals and these ligands, they will have a more repulsions. So actually along the axis, which orbitals we have? This orbital, right? So along the axis we have this orbital. So in octahedral geometry, these ligands are lying along the axis, like on the axes. Then what happens is, this orbital, whatever these two orbitals are there, they will feel the more repulsions than dxy, dyz, dxz. So then what happens is, this dx square by square dz square, these orbitals will feel higher in energy. They push up to higher in energy in octahedral geometry. Then what happens is, actually these are 5 orbitals, you just say that. These are in spherical field. So this is in spherical field. That means you don't have any field, okay. That means ligands are not yet come to close to metal. So actually when ligands comes closer to the metal, then this splitting happens, right? That means whatever the attractions, repulsions, when they happen, when the ligands comes close to metal, then this happens. Okay, actually these are in spherical field. That means not yet happened. Still they have not come close to the metal. Then, so I just told you just now, right? In the octahedral field, what happens? The ligands lie on the axis. So whatever the orbitals along the axis are there, that they feel the more repulsions and they push up to higher energy. So like this, okay. So these two will have a higher in energy, and the remaining whatever the dxy, dyz, dxz are there, they will be at lower energy. Okay, this is in octahedral field. Okay, octahedral field. Whatever the energy, this energy is there, that we call it as a splitting energy. This is we called as a splitting energy in octahedral field. How this splitting happens actually? Okay, this is average energy barrier. Average energy barrier. Okay, then so how it happens is, the value will be here minus 0.4 delta naught, and here we will be having 0.6 plus, okay, 0.6 delta naught. This splitting happens here. Actually the total splitting energy in octahedral will be 10 dq. Okay, 10 dq. Otherwise you can write it as a 6 dq also you can write. Otherwise you can write it as a 0.6 delta naught. Here also minus 4 dq you can write it. Otherwise you can write it minus 0.4 delta naught. Okay, this is the total splitting energy is delta naught, and here above the axis, above the energy barrier, it will be 0.6, and whenever it will be below the energy barrier, then it takes a minus sign. Okay, and splitting energy will be this way in octahedral. So how can we write it now? So splitting energy will be, crystal field splitting energy in octahedral will be minus 0.4, and one more thing, okay, these 3 orbitals, whatever dxy, dyz, dxz are there, this we call it as, we denote it as T2G, and this one is EG. Okay, G, you know, right, Zeran. Okay, that when we have a symmetry in orbitals, then we denote it as G. Okay, so these two we call it as EG orbitals. These are T2G. Now you write the splitting energy minus 0.4 T2G plus 0.6 EG into delta naught plus MP plus MP. Remember, okay, this one. So minus 0.4 T2G plus 0.6 EG. That means whatever the electrons are there in T2G here, that is multiplied by minus 0.4, and whatever the electrons are there in EG, that will be multiplied by 0.6 into delta naught plus MP. Here M is number of electron pairs. Remember, okay. M is number of electron pairs. P here is pairing energy. P is pairing energy. That means how much energy it needs to get paired. Okay, that is P is equal to pairing energy. So in octahedral geometry, what happens is whenever we are filling the electrons, I mean we have to distribute the electrons in all orbitals, right? If it is in strong field, what happens is splitting energy will be more than the pairing energy in strong field. Okay, suppose it is in weak field, splitting energy in octahedral will be less than pairing energy. So that will be there. Now I just want to show in some D7 orbitals, D6 system, how we are going to fill the electrons in strong field and weak field, that we'll see now. So now you just look here. In strong field and weak field, filling up electrons and redistribution of electrons in D7 system, we'll see now. Actually in strong field what happens is the energy gap between this dxy, T2G EG orbitals. Okay, the energy gap between T2G EG orbitals will be more in strong field. Okay, strong field means pair up will be more actually. Okay, so in the strong field what happens is the energy gap between T2G and EG will be more. So then what happens is, first strong field, so as energy gap is so more between T2G and EG, first it prefers to fill the electrons in T2G. After pairing up electrons in T2G, then it goes to EG. Okay, see actually in octahedral, right? Octahedral, T2G will be here, right? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. This is EG, this is T2G. In a simple way, we just represent like this, okay? So D7 system in strong field. In strong field what happens is the energy gap between EG and T2G will be more. Okay, then what happens is the pairing up of electrons will be first filled in this T2G, then after pairing up only then it goes to EG orbitals. Okay, so first D7 will fill up. Okay, D7, how we fill? 1, 2, 3. So after filling up only then we have to go to EG. 4, 5, 6, then it is 7 here. Okay, now calculate CFSE. CFSE is equal to minus 0.4 into T2G. How many electrons are there in T2G? 6 plus 0.6 into how many electrons are there in EG? 1 into delta naught plus M. How many number of paired electrons, right? M means number of paired electrons. How many are there? 3. 3 pairs are there into P. Pairing energy. Now you calculate it. Minus 0. 4, 6 are 24. Minus 2.4 plus 0.6. Delta naught plus 3P. Then what happens? 2.4 0.6. 14 means 8. Okay, 8 1. So minus, right? So minus 1.8 is equal to minus 1.8 into delta naught plus NP. This is the CFSE for D7 system in strong field. So what in strong field what happens? The energy gap between the T2G and EG will be more. So pairing of will be done in T2G, then it goes to EG. Okay. But in weak field what happens is the energy gap between the EG and T2G will be less. So it follows the Hund's rule, and first it fill up the one electron in each orbital, then it gets paired up. Okay. So see here, in the weak field we calculate 1, 2, 3 T2G. Okay. EG. So the energy gap between these two will be less. So first it fills one electron in each orbital, then it gets paired up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is the system it does. Okay, now you just calculate CFSE. CFSE is equal to what happens now? Minus 0.4. How many electrons are there in T2G? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 plus 0.6 into how many electrons are there in EG? 2. Delta naught plus M. How many number of paired electrons are there? 2. Right? So 2 P pairing. Okay. Now you just calculate. 4 5 is 20. So minus 2.0 plus 6 2 is 12. 1.2 delta naught plus 2p. Okay, so minus 2.0 or 1.2, so 8 then 0. Okay, minus 0.8. So now what we get here? Minus 0.8 delta naught plus 2p. This is the CFSE for D7 system in weak field. Okay, in the weak field, first we fill the electron, one electron according to Hund's rule. Then it will be filled up. It will be paired up. But in the strong system, what happens is energy gap will be it will be high. So first it prefer to pair up in the T2G, then it goes to EG level. So that is about D7 system. And in the exams, what happens is they give the complexes like this, and they will ask you to calculate CFSE for these complexes. So first you from the complexes, first you have to find out whether it is a D7 system, D5 system, or whatever the electrons are there in the D system. First you have to calculate that. Then according to that, you have to see whether it is a strong field or weak field. Then according to that, you have to fill up the electrons. First we will take one example. Which one will take? Whatever. This one will take, right? COCl6. So Cl is a weak field and cobalt is a 3D series. So weak field. So what happens now? First you just calculate the oxidation number, oxidation state here. X minus 6 is equal to minus 3. So X is equal to minus 3 plus 6. That means plus 3. Oxidation state is plus 3. Cobalt plus 3 we got now. Now what happens here is, as you know that cobalt atomic number is 27. So in the last video I told you how you have to remember the valence electrons in each metal. I told you with the d orbital, right? Okay. Sorry. So cobalt is atomic number is 27. How you have to remember the valence electrons I told you in the last class? That is S2D7. You don't need to write anything here, okay? You just remember like that. So 4s2 3d7. That means in the D 7 electrons will be there and S 2 electrons. S2 is common for all the D elements, okay? S2 is common, and here whatever the electrons that we are going to get in D, that you just remember like this, okay? 27 means in D you will be having 7 electrons and S2 will be common. Okay, that means how many electrons are there totally? 9 electrons are there. Okay, outermost electrons, we have 9 electrons now. 9 electrons. So how you are going to fill up the electrons now? So that means this 9 electrons are there. So cobalt plus 3, that means you have to minus the 3 electrons. So 2 electrons gone from here and 1 electron from here. That means D6. It is a D6 system. Okay. Now it is a weak field, right? How you are going to fill the electrons in weak field? Here only we'll see. Okay. Okay. Right. It's separate unit. 1, 2, 3. Eg, T2G. It is a D6 system, right? That too weak field. So first we will fill one electron in each orbital, then we'll pair up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then 6. Okay. So now calculate CFSE. CFSE is equal to minus 0.4 into how many electrons are there? 4 electrons are there in T2G. Then plus 0.6 into how many electrons are there? 2 electrons into delta naught plus M. MP means how many number of paired electrons are there? Only 1. So 1 P. Right? Now calculate. 4 4 is 16. So minus 1.6 plus 6 to the 12, 1.2 delta naught plus 1 P. Now what happens now? 1.6, 1.2, that means minus 0.4 will get. Minus 0.4 delta naught plus 1 P. So that is CFS, crystal field stabilization energy or splitting energy, whatever. So that will be here. So when we want to calculate this one, so this is also weak field only, you can calculate in that. Okay, this is a strong field and chromium, right? For chromium also we will calculate. So CrCO6, it's a neutral ligand, right? That means chromium oxidation number is 0, oxidation state is 0. In chromium atomic number is 24, right? So how many? Actually 4s to 3d4 should be there, but according to some stability of the atom, we are going to take 4s1 3d5. So how many outer electrons are there? 6. This is also D6 system now. In excited state also it is D6 system. D6 system, that too strong field. Carbonyl is a strong field, right? So how you are going to fill up the electrons? Here only fill up. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. T2G and EG. Now fill the electrons. So first pair up should be there, right? First we should pair the electrons. Then we have to go to that stage because it is a strong field. Carbonyl is a strong field. That's why. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 electrons paired up in T2G only. Okay. Now what is the CFSE? We can calculate. So minus 0.4 into how many electrons are there? 6 plus 0.6 into how many electrons are there here? EG, you don't have any electron. So 0 you have to take here. Delta naught plus MP. How many pairs of electrons are there? 3. So 3 P. Okay. Now you calculate. 6 4s are 24 minus 2.4 delta naught plus 3P. This is the CFSE for strong field, that too D6 system. So this is about octahedral geometry. Now we'll see the splitting in the tetrahedral geometry. Now splitting in the tetrahedral geometry. Okay, in tetrahedral geometry, how the splitting will be? This is opposite to octahedral geometry. So there what we have seen there. So dxy, dyz, dxz, dx square, y square, dz square. That means whatever the 5 orbitals that we have in d orbitals, so dx square z square, dx square y square, dz square will be along the axis. Dx square, the remaining whatever the T2G orbitals are there, that will be between the axis, right? In tetrahedral geometry, what happens is when we see the geometry of tetrahedral, the ligands will be lying in between the axis. Okay, so that means in tetrahedral geometry what happens is, these are the axes, right? Whatever the ligands that we have in the complex of tetrahedral, that ligands will be lying in between the axis. In between the axis. Okay, in between the axis. Then which orbitals will pushed up? Okay, in which orbitals will be pushed up? Now here ligands are lying in between the axis. That means which orbitals will be pushed up? T2G orbitals will be pushed up and EG will be down. Okay, that is opposite of octahedral geometry. So what happens now is that EG orbitals will be down and T2G orbitals will be up now, because these are dxy, dyz, dzx, and the ligands also lying between only. So whatever the ligands which are lying in between the axis, then that orbitals will be most affected. Then the repulsions between the T2G orbitals and the ligands will be more. Then this will be pushed up. So here in the tetrahedral geometry, in tetrahedral, how the splitting energy will be? First to these 5 orbitals, then 3 orbitals will go up and this 2 will be here. So E, it is T2. So here I am not writing G, okay, because the symmetry will not be there in tetrahedral. So that's why I am not writing G here. So it will not be Zn. So this is energy barrier. Then this is the splitting energy of tetrahedral. Okay. So here we are going to get minus 0.6 E and plus 0.4 delta T. You just write it, okay? Delta T. So T2 like that. See, opposite of octahedral, right? So here minus 0.6 delta T and this will be 0.4 delta T. That way you are going to write here. Now, whatever, you can write it here. It is in spherical field, metal ion in spherical field. This is in tetrahedral field. Metal ion in tetrahedral field. Now, calculate whatever the system, D7 system only will calculate here, okay? For D7 system, okay, for strong field, this is for weak field. So how it happens now? So now EG will be down, then T2G will be up. Okay, so this will be totally different, okay, filling of electrons also. This is E, this is T2, now D7 system, right? First, in the strong field, we have to pair up the electrons. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, now CFSE will be, CFSE is equal to minus 0.6 into, how many electrons are there in E? 4 plus 0.4 into T2 is having 3 electrons into delta naught plus MP. Okay. So now see here, MP means E. Okay, directly you can write here 2P. Okay. So 6 4s are 24 minus 2.4 plus 3 4s are 12, 1.2 delta T plus 2P. Then what happens is 2.4, 1.2, 2, 1. Okay. So that means you are going to get minus 1.2 delta T plus 2B. This is for strong field. If it is for weak field, how you are going to fill? First one electron only you have to fill up, then you have to pair up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. So same thing had happened here. Okay. See here, first we have kept one electron only in all these. Then what happened? Then we have paired up. So same thing is coming here. Okay. D7 is same for strong field and weak field. Suppose we'll do one thing. We'll calculate for D5 system. Okay. For D5, we want to take D5. So what happens now? For strong field and weak field, for both we calculate. Okay. So for D5 system, first strong field you just fill up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. In the weak field you just fill up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now we can calculate no CFSE minus 0.4 minus 0.6 into 4 plus 0.4 into 1. That is about that. Then when it comes to weak field, minus 0.6 into 2 plus 0.4 into 3. So I think you can calculate it, right? So here also some tetrahedral complexes we will take and we will calculate CFSE for that. Okay. Now we will calculate CFSE in tetrahedral complexes. Okay. Suppose they have given these complexes, then how will you calculate CFSE? First calculate the oxidation number here, oxidation state. Cobalt, this is minus 1, right? So minus 4. X minus 4 is equal to 2 minus, then X is equal to plus 2. Right? Actually in the cobalt, what are the valence electrons that we have? Cobalt is 27. So valence electrons will be 4s2 3d7. Okay. So plus 2 means these 2 electrons will go off. Then plus 2 will be D7. It is D7 system. D7 system means this is a weak field, right? This is weak field only. Weak field or a strong field, this D7 system will be same in tetrahedral geometry. Just now we have calculated, right? So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it is E, it is T2. Okay, so what happens now? Minus 0.6 into 4 plus 0.4 into 3 into delta T plus how many pair of electrons are there? 2. So 2p. Then 6 4s are 24 minus 2.4 plus 1.2 into delta T plus 2p. Then what happens now? 2.4 from 2.4 if you take out 1.2, then minus 1.2 delta T plus 2p. See how easy it is, right? So here also copper, this is also weak field only, oxidation stage is X minus 4 is equal to minus 2X is equal to plus 2. Okay, copper, what is the valence electrons that we have? 4s1 3d10 will be having. Okay, and plus 2, right? 2 electron, 1 electron from here and 1 electron will from here will go off. Then Cu plus 2 is equal to D9 system we will get. Okay, this is weak field. So how we fill the electrons? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, T2, then E, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Right? Now how will you get? Minus 0.6 into 4 plus 0.4 into how many electrons are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. This is delta T plus MP. How many pair of electrons are there? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 are there. So 4p. So now you write it. 6 4s are 24. So minus 2.4 plus 4 5 is 20. 2.0 delta T plus 4p. So now what happens? 2.4 minus 0.4 delta T plus 4p. So this is a CFSE. Now is it right? So now you calculate for this. So for Fe, atomic number is 26. So what is the outermost electrons that we have? 4:3d6. Just remember it. Okay, 26 means in D orbital you will be having 6 electrons. Then S2 will be common. Okay. So now what is the oxidation number here? X minus 4 is equal to 2 minus. Okay, wait. Okay, that will keep it right. X here minus 4 is equal to 2 minus 2. So X is equal to plus 2. So now you have to do Fe plus 2. Fe plus 2 means these 2 electrons will go off, then D6 system will come. D6. Now fill the electrons 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is E, this is T2. Now fill the electrons, it is weak filled only. First one electron you can fill up. Only one electron. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Because that is a big fill, right? Now minus 0.6 into how many electrons are there? 3 plus 0.4 into, so here also 3 electrons we have, into delta T plus MP. Okay, how many number of pair of electrons are there? 1. So 1p. Okay, now 6 3s are 18 minus 1.8 plus 4 3s are 12, so 1.2 delta T plus 1p. So what happens now? 1.8 to 1.2. Matlab how much will come? Minus 0.6 delta T plus 1p. So this is in the tetrahedral field. Actually, so splitting energies, what is the relation that they have between the tetrahedral and octahedral in splitting energies? So what is the relation that we have? See, delta T is equal to 4 by 9 delta naught. So sometimes they ask these also. Okay, the relation between tetrahedral and octahedral geometries in splitting energies of that splitting energies of these two. Okay, delta T is equal to 4 by 9 of delta naught. So with this I have done with the CFT, special field theory, and I think you have understood. How the splitting is happening on octahedral and tetrahedral, and how we are going to distribute the electrons in each orbitals. So you just remember. I think it is very helpful for you, and thank you for watching.